Hello everyone and welcome to the Hunter Association, your source for all things Hunter x Hunter. My name is Kaige.
And my name is Dylan.
And in this week's episode we will be talking about Hunter x Hunter 1999, episodes 7 through 9.
Indeed.
Then of course we will be going through our community comments. If you'd like to join in on the community and have your comment read, be sure to comment on the YouTube version, either on the video or on the community post. Also, make sure to like and subscribe to help grow our community of Hunter x Hunter fans. Additionally, if you'd like to know when new episodes are live, click the bell to enable notifications. If you're an audio listener, make sure to rate and review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and follow us on Twitter at TXHXAPod, as well as Bluesky at just THAPod for podcast-related updates and to submit responses to the weekly call-out posts. If you'd like, you can also still email us at hunterassociationpod@gmail.com. As always, we provided timestamps in the description if you'd like to skip ahead to any of the aforementioned segments.
Hell yeah.
So, we took last week off. I will talk about that momentarily, but for now I want to stay on topic for a minute. And so I guess real quick we'll just talk about the brief amount of news we have. We have a little bit of Nen Impact stuff to talk about. It will be playable at the Arc World Tour Finals in Los Angeles, California on March 21st to the 23rd.
Yeah.
And probably the same build that we played, presumably.
Yeah. There's nothing we could find on the actual build that'll be presented there, so we can only assume it's the same one from Fastings, probably.
Yeah. So, you know, we'll keep an eye on it. I mean, we're not going to be there, obviously. We cannot go to California right now, I don't think.
Not in this economy? No.
No. Yeah, I'm good on that. But you know, we'll keep an eye on footage, see if there's any notable things about the demo. But I'm guessing this will be the same thing we played. But if you're interested in going and playing it for yourself, then check it out if you're around California.
Yeah, we'll put a link in the description of the video version as well. You know, in case you are interested in attending that, if you're local in the Los Angeles region.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so yeah, I guess real quick, I'll talk about why I was gone last week. Why we were gone last week. Quick trigger warning. If you want to skip ahead, I wanted to put this at the end of this segment so you could just skip ahead to the main topic, us talking about the show here. If you don't want to hear this trigger warning about death, I lost my father last week. It's been very hard. It was very hard. Still going through it. You know how it is. But that's all I want to say about that. I'm not saying this to get like sympathy. You guys don't got to talk about it in the comments or anything. Just, we're good. I got enough love in that community post. Thank you all for that. That helped a lot, actually. So yeah, that's all I want to say about that. We're good. Thank you for the support, and let's not talk about it. Let's talk about Hunter x Hunter. We're good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for sure. And yeah, I guess on that note, let's go ahead and get into the episodes for today.
Let's do it.
All right, sounds good.
All right, everybody, welcome to our discussion on episodes 7 through 9 of our Hunter x Hunter 1999 watch through. So,
woo, we're back.
Yes, we're back, and this is an interesting set of episodes. I think we both kind of didn't really know what to expect from this first one, because obviously it was being set up as filler, like entirely filler, and that is what this was.
Yeah.
But pretty good, actually. I have a good amount to say.
Yeah. There were some elements that I didn't like, but I think it really surprised me. Like the main component of this episode, which I think is both what's on our minds, is really good, actually. So
yeah, super interesting. Yeah, I mean, I do have quite a few issues with this episode. Honestly, they're mostly nitpicks and just like gripes about like continuity and stuff, but I think overall this was a cool episode. I just wish they'd put it in a different part of the story. I don't like how they deviate so far from the path of how this first phase is supposed to go, to the point where like this just cannot possibly happen. Like, what is this?
It kind of makes no sense when you think about it even a little bit. Just like how everything happened, I guess. But I mean, it kind of is what it is, I guess, especially considering it being, mostly filler, right?
Yes.
But I don't know, where do we start with this episode even? Like,
so yeah, we're picking back up right after Tompa had led Nicholas and Leorio into this other path with like a tree that we later find out causes like the sap of the tree, I think, causes like hallucinations or like.
Yeah, there was a name they just straight up gave that area at the end of the episode. I'm trying to find it now.
Yeah, I do not recall what that was.
Oh, the Tunnel of Hallucination.
Okay, well, fair enough.
very on the nose name there.
Yeah, on the nose. Okay, well, there's that. So yeah, they're there. Nicholas, he gets wiped out. He's done. It's pretty much the same scene as it is in the manga and 2011 anime, except it's just he's hallucinating people instead of just like thinking about how he's a failure.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get Leorio, who sees Pietro.
Yeah, that I was not expecting this. I thought it would just kind of be like a vague like hallucination, kind of like what Nicholas was experiencing.
Yeah.
No, this ended up being like a good like quarter of the episode, just like Leorio's whole experience, which was really interesting.
Yes. Very, very interesting. So this, yeah, like Dylan just said, this is pretty much the bulk of the episode, at least the bulk that I care about.
Yeah.
Where Leorio is just hallucinating about Pietro, which, I mean, if you're watching this, you probably know Hunter x Hunter. That is Leorio's childhood friend who died from an illness that he did not have the money to cure. And he so right off the bat with him, we get his hallucination involves scenery as well. Like he is in presumably his hometown, I guess, which this is the most we've ever seen of that. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
I don't think it has a name as far as I'm aware.
No, nothing was named within that. It was just kind of like the scenery was basically like a portside town, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, yeah, it's a really nice, like very pretty looking portside town, which is not what I imagined. I always thought Leorio came from like a poor neighborhood.
Yeah, like the slums almost. But
yeah, and I think in the manga itself, that's how it was depicted. But hey, whatever. I mean, it's fine. It's a hallucination. You could even argue that's not what this is supposed to be. This could just be like a serene place where they are encountering each other.
Yeah, like to kind of contrast the whole, despair of the situation. I don't know.
Yeah. And before we continue with Leorio, I do want to talk about the Kurapika moment as well.
Yeah.
So Kurapika also briefly gets hallucinations whenever they go in, and Kurapika are, chasing after Leorio because the first they encounter Tompa, and he's like, oh, they went that way, blah, 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 whatever, because he's pretending he got hurt too.
Mm-hmm.
And while they're going down the path, Kurapika has this hallucination about the spiders, and there's nothing too notable, but the thing I took note of was just the fact that the very first depiction of it you see is horses riding into town, which
I
don't think the troop rides horses, but I mean, maybe they did then. Yeah, I don't know. Like that was interesting.
The troop on horses, that's crazy.
Yeah, I can't really imagine that, but that's how it was depicted here. So it was a neat scene. And by the way, this whole episode is very well directed. It looks gorgeous.
Well, okay, I will say that the one part I kind of didn't like about the episode the most though was every scene of where they're actually in the tunnel. Oh my gosh, the lack of lighting really got to it at points.
Oh my god, I know.
It was impossible to see some things happening. Or
yeah.
there's multiple shots of it's supposed to be panning down further into the tunnel to kind of create suspense, and it looks like you're looking at a pitch black screen the entire time.
Yeah, it's just black.
Yeah. So those parts it kind of took me out of it. I'm like, what am I supposed to be looking at here?
Yeah. But all the Leorio scenes and that
Yes.
Karapika scene were very beautiful. But yeah, this episode is mostly just pitch black hallways, which, I mean, 99 sure seems to like doing that so far.
Thankfully, we'll be escaping that for a little bit after this episode. But yeah, it was something to note here for sure. But yeah, I completely agree that Leorio and Karapika scenes especially were really well directed and just looked fantastic. And even animation aside, the voice direction, I think, as well, specifically in the Leorio flashback, was really impressive as well.
Yeah, it was a great performance from both, Leorio's actor and Pietro's voice actor. Who, I mean, this is his only moment. I don't know who the voice actor is exactly, but did a very good job conveying what was being told here, which is a. It's weird because it's kind of framed like Pietro is at the beginning trying to convince Leorio to like die, basically. Like,
yeah, like
it's kind of hard to explain, but like come with me in a sense of like, I guess, die and join me in the afterlife, right?
Like, give up, like it's pointless.
Yeah, like there's no point here. Just give it up. And this whole time we have Leorio struggling with that vision of Pietro here, who there's this very haunting shot, by the way, where you see his face finally, because his face was like shrouded this whole time, and it's just like it's a skeleton with like some hair, I think.
It's probably my favorite. That and the shot like right before it of like Leorio kind of like sitting like by the ocean at sunset.
Yes.
Like those are probably my favorite shots of like this entire batch that we're talking about today.
Absolutely.
Beautiful
I'm sure one
shots.
of those will be in the thumbnail. That was those were very, very good looking. I really enjoyed that, the scenes of those two just talking by the shore side there.
Absolutely.
And so there's, while Leora is doing this, just a bunch of shenanigans are happening with the other, and like Karapika snaps out of it. Killua kicks him in the face to do so.
Yeah, after threatening Tompa coming down. So I don't know if we want to wrap up talking about like the hallucination stuff, but I actually like laughed out loud this episode when Killua pulled out pocket bombs to use to escape the tunnel of hallucination.
Oh yeah, I wasn't quite there yet, but yeah, that was quite the thing.
We can get there soon, but if you have more to talk about, yeah.
Yeah, so just real quick, the hallucination. Well, I guess he pulls out the bombs before the hallucination ends.
Okay. I mixed up the timing a little bit.
Yeah,
but worked out.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, we'll escape, and he pulls out a fucking bomb. Okay, sure, man, whatever. So the hallucination basically wraps up with, Leorio realizing that it's this is not my time. I need to continue on this path and do better for you, for Pietro.
And he also had a whole monologue of like, even if I didn't save you, imagine like the kids I can save and be able to tell them to not worry about the money. And it was just really sweet and heartfelt.
Yes, that line in particular, like I want to be able to I want to be able to help kids and be able to tell them like, don't worry about the money. That's so sweet. I love that.
Mm-hmm. God, I love Leorio. 99 does him so much more justice already.
Yeah, and 99 sure loves him too. Like, wow, there's so much good Leorio stuff in this adaptation. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, for sure.
We get to see him cry, which is like an emotion not really seen from him before.
Makes you more connected with him in general. Like, I don't know. Gosh, I really, really adore this part.
It's so good. It's so good. I love it. It's a very effective way, because they skipped over his initial like telling of his backstory before, and now we get it like this, and it's cool.
Yeah, and like you can consider it like non-canon to an extent, right? Because like obviously we don't really see anything of this like happen visually within the manga, right? But God, it's just so effective. Like it doesn't bastardize anything of his backstory. It adds on to it, which again, kind of like how we've talked about in the prior episodes, is a really good thing for filler to do generally.
Yes.
So I'm just very impressed.
Absolutely, yeah. Impressed is the right word. I loved it. I thought that was such a great addition to the story. Aside from the context surrounding it, which is a little absurd, but
Yeah.
the scenes themselves are very good. I really enjoyed it. We end off the whole thing there with Pietro turning to Leorio and telling him to become a great doctor, and then he kind of like bursts into flames, and through the flames comes his friends. We got Gon, Kurapika, and Killua there.
That was another really good shot too.
Yep, jumping in to save him, and then Killua blows a hole in the wall with his like pocket bombs.
Yeah, more pocket bombs. Like, where did you have these?
Yeah, whatever.
Why? How did? Like, it's just really funny that like a stealth assassin type of character just has the most like in your face like tool at his disposal.
Yep, bombs.
Like, it makes no sense, but like I laughed so hard whenever that happened.
So that answers our question of how they could possibly catch up to the group after this.
Yeah, they just
they blow a hole in the wall. And then Sawtotes is like, well, I never said you couldn't blow a hole in the wall. Fair enough.
That made me laugh too. It's like, okay, I guess.
I mean, I can't really argue with that, so sure.
But
so,
yeah. Leorio beat up Tompa after that.
Yes. This is where my main issues with this whole thing come into play. This is such a worse way of communicating the fact that Tompa is an asshole, because this is, for one, going to make Gon seem like actually the biggest idiot in the world from this point on, because unless they change how Gon acts, which I can already tell they're not going to, Gon's going to still be like, oh, Tompa's not that bad, right, guys? But do you see what he just did here? Like, in the manga, it's just the laxatives and like some general tomfoolery. But here, like, nah, man, this is bad. Like, you can't argue against this.
Pure deception.
Yeah, like, whatever. So that'll be funny later, but we don't really have to worry about that right now or think about it. Mm-hmm. So whatever, holes blown in the wall, we're back on track. Now we're actually adapting the manga again, and the rest of the episode is just pretty straightforward. They finish up the task just like how they do in the manga. Leorio rips off his shirt, Kurapika rips off his poncho thing.
Yeah, he's like, I could learn something from this guy after all. Yeah.
So we're all back on track. It wraps up the same way, and we end that episode with the monkey business.
Yeah, the monkey business. That's right. But yeah, no, good episode. Little small things here and there that I don't really like, but overall, it surprised me. I was expecting much worse going into it after last episode.
Yeah. We really didn't know what to expect out of this one, but I think it surprised us both.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
So yeah, episode 8 now. So I also, new thing here, I have with me the manga. So that way we can do on-the-fly checking for differences. So, these roughly what's adapted in this episode is pretty much, it's like chapter, let's say like 8 to, like, it's like 8 and 9 basically. So it's the whole, the forest stuff confined to one episode, which I was actually surprised about. Well, I guess it's like 1.5. No, it's pretty much just one. Yeah, no, it's just one. This whole episode is just the forest. So, this starts with the, it's the monkey thing. We got the monkey that in the anime for some reason kind of doesn't really look like Sawtotes. I thought, at least. In the manga, it's very clear, like, oh wow, these actually do look pretty similar. But I didn't really get that sense here.
I didn't either.
Yeah,
honestly, I was this completely different guy. I'm like, what? Huh?
Yeah. But whatever. They're still like, oh, he looks just like the Proctor. No, he really doesn't. But
do you guys have eyes?
If you say so, I guess. And Hisoka does the card thing. He throws the card at the monkey, and he throws one at Sawtotes. Sawtotes catches the card, so therefore he is the hunter and the actual Proctor.
This is the first kind of moment where we actually hear like substantial lines from Hisoka and the new voice actor that we're being introduced to through this adaptation. Gotta say, I'm a fan. It works.
It's very different. It's extremely different from
Yes.
2011, but it does work, I think. It's going to take me some getting used to, but it's, I've already gotten used to a lot of the voices I thought would take time to get used to. Even Killua, like I thought last week or last time we watched, I was like, yeah, this is going to take me a while, but you know
It's
what?
grown.
I
It's
get
grown
it.
on me. Yeah.
I see what they're going for. It's just I got to get used to this being different, like they're going for a different approach in portraying these characters compared to 2011, which is what we're both used to here.
Yeah, and like the Hisoka here especially sounds much less eccentric, I think, than the 2011 version.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, kind of has like a more like maniacal kind of tone to his voice in a way.
Yeah, it's
Like you can
it's
kind
hard
of
to
just like
explain
you can
it
kind
in
of just like
words.
feel the craziness that comes from his voice, which like you don't really feel that from 2011, but it kind of works here, especially for these like earlier parts where he's being portrayed as like a madman for the most part.
Yeah, it's like I think the portrayal here is more so like he's like a psychopath that's kind of keeping himself held back a little bit. Like you can hear him like
Yes.
cracking every once in a while, whereas 2011's depiction is more stable. Like he's just kind of a sadistic freak.
Yeah.
But this one feels like he's absolutely insane, cracked out of his mind, but he's just kind of putting on a show,
Yeah.
which is
You,
interesting.
you put it in better words than I could.
So, we carry on with the exam. There's not a whole lot I really have to talk about with this episode. It's a pretty straightforward adaptation, I think.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot. I gotta say, just visually was something that kind of caught my eye. That was kind of funny. Leorio's shirt is off like this entire time now, like bare chest and everything. But he somehow has his badge like on his chest still. Like, dude, is that just like ripping into your skin? Like, why is that on your bare chest?
Yeah, that's I don't know if that's addressed in the manga. I will actually check because I can.
Like, I can't imagine it's just like a. It's not like a patch. Like you have to put it on your clothing, right? So I'm assuming it's like a pin. So like, dude, did you just like stab yourself in the chest with your own badge?
Hey, he's Leorio. I wouldn't put it past him.
Hey,
This guy's a monster.
I respect it, but it's just kind of caught my eye. Like, dude, does that not hurt? Like, I don't know.
Okay, as far as I can tell, it is not addressed. He just kind of does it. It's he takes the shirt off screen, and it looks like that. So
Okay. So, I mean, yeah,
yeah,
it's faithful, but it caught my eye here specifically for some reason.
yeah. We'll assume that he just stabbed it into his flesh.
My goat.
My goat. That's right. So, we have all the participants running through, encountering magical beasts and whatnot, and really the big thing to talk about here is the Hisoka stuff,
Yep.
where, he stops a bunch of people, including Kurapika, Leorio, and who was the other one?
Pokol.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever you
Yeah.
want to say it. Which I guess that is like the main thing about this episode that's different from the manga, which at least according to Hunterpedia, he's introduced earlier here in the 99 adaptation than he is in the manga.
Which has me intrigued. I'm wondering if they're gonna try to make him have more of a presence throughout this arc. We'll see. Because he's kind of like he kind of guides them here in a way. Because neither of them thought to run, but Pokol was the one that was like, "We gotta run. We can't do this."
Yeah, which also according to Hunterpedia, that was like the dude named Cherry's role in the manga. Not really a character worth of any substance ever. I don't even think he made it into phase. I don't think he even made it to phase 2. After this episode.
That guy.
Yeah, right. So a little weird. Like, why is Pokol here now?
Okay, so they I guess they just replaced a meaningless character with a more well-known character.
Which, I mean, like, it's a harmless change. It's whatever. It works though.
Yeah.
Kind of makes Pokol look like an actual smart dude. So like that.
Yeah, and he
works.
is smart too. I mean, he's a pretty intelligent guy.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
What do we think about the actual like action sequence with like Hisoka versus all of the different hunter examinees.
Yeah, so it's pretty stiff. This whole episode in general is very stiff. There's not a lot of movement happening with anybody. A lot of still frames, very minimal movement.
Like, you know how you occasionally, like, if you're watching, like, an animated show, and you just, the odd episode every now and then where you could just kind of tell that they're, budgeting as much as they can with, like, how much they're actually animating. This kind of felt like that to me in a way. It wasn't, like, the worst thing ever, but, like, you could definitely tell they wanted to be stiff with a lot of it. And especially the Hisoka fight. Kind of felt like a PowerPoint slide a couple of times. Yeah.
It's definitely, I wonder if this was outsourced, this episode, because I also noticed a lot of off-model faces, especially Hisoka. So I'm wondering if this was an outsourced episode. It's entirely possible. There's also, notably, we'll get to in a second, so when, Leorio, they all run, but then Leorio comes back because he's badass and awesome and based.
That scene was pretty cool. I liked him kind of like emerging from the fog there.
I love it. God, they love Leorio in this adaptation, and I'm all for it.
So good.
And then Hisoka punches him, the classic, the panel where Leorio gets punched, and it's like hyper detailed.
Yeah.
It's like like just that one frame is very well drawn, and that doesn't seem like something that would have normally happened. It feels like something a different studio did. I don't know. It's just a vibe thing, but who knows? But regardless, we have that happen. Gon jumps in. He gets his ass beat too, but Hisoka tells them both that they pass.
Woo!
His little exam there.
Too good. There's one thing of note I wanted to mention about the fight as well before we move on.
Yeah.
Did you... There was a moment where Hisoka was like shuffling his cards, and did that sound effect when that happened not sound like a wet fart to you? Do you remember that?
I did not notice. No.
Okay. Yeah, it was somewhere during that fight. He was like shuffling the cards, or like he was like riffling them or whatever, and it was the most like off-putting sound effect I've ever heard. It was so weird. It did not sound. Because I remember looking away for a brief second as I was watching this episode, and the sound effect came on. I'm like, what the hell is happening? I look over, and it's the cards. I didn't expect it to be cards. I thought like they were like stepping to like mud or something, like some like weird cartoonish sound effect, and it was just card shuffling.
I guess I probably didn't notice because I was like looking at the screen, but yeah, if I looked away for a second, maybe I would have like heard it as something it wasn't.
That was something of note. I was like, what the hell?
Very funny.
It's very like it's definitely like 99 anime vibes, right? Like just like the random like weird like kind of in your face sound effects used for just anything, right? I feel like that's just like a very 90s anime thing, but it just a very funny note there.
Yeah, in general, the 99 version I've heard has pretty weird sound effects. I've heard people talk about later on in Heaven's Arena, the Gon and Hisoka fight I hear has really bad sound effects, but
I can't wait. That'll be fun.
We're not there yet, so I don't know. It's just what I've heard from other people.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's very funny. I'll have to listen to that later.
Yeah, please
that
do.
Sounds awesome.
I want your thoughts on that, or if I'm crazy or not.
So, continuing with this episode, it's really not much to say. They just kind of finish the exam. They get through the forest at the last minute. Hisoka carries Leorio because he's a real one like that.
Yeah. Kilo asks how Gon and them found their way back, and he's like, "You smelled his cologne." Like,
yeah, and he's like, "Wow, you're just like a dog."
Yep, classic. Leorio asks what's wrong with his face, and Krabby says, "Oh no, you look the same, man." As a big wart on his face, pretty much. That might have been actually the beginning of episode 9. I don't remember exactly, but either way. Oh, that's the end. Okay.
Yep.
But yeah, either way, they just kind of finished that part of the exam, and they're about to move on to phase 2. And that's pretty typical stuff. Pretty standard manga adaptation for this episode.
Yes. Now, that's pretty much all I have to say about episode 8. It's just typical, kind of shoddy animation, yada yada,
Yeah.
whatever. So episode 9. Now we are on to phase 2 of the exam with Renji and Buhara, or not? What did I say?
You said Renji?
Oh, sorry,
right?
Menchi. Sorry, I have Bleach on the mind.
That's so funny.
Not Renji. If this was Renji, he would say roars Abimaru and then get his ass beat into the ground. But no, we got Menchi and Buhara. So obviously the whole crowd hears Buhara's stomach growling before they even enter the thing, which I thought was funny because you just hear this like weird ass sound before they even enter. And nobody comments on it, but
no,
you could hear it. And then they get in there, and then we got the big fuck.
I love him so much.
He's the best. Yeah, I love this man.
Okay, low key or high key even. I'm not even gonna lie. I like Menchi's 99 design way more than the 2011 design.
Yeah, it's pretty damn good.
There's something about like the fishnet top and the pink hair that like does it for me.
I love the fishnet. It's so good. It's very, obviously this character directly inspired Anko and Naruto, who you don't know, but she wears the same kind of the fishnet top, and I like seeing it as a fishnet and not like just a weird transparent top like it is in 2011.
It's just like a veil almost in 2011. That always kind of was a little weird to me. Like, why not just be like actual fishnet?
Awesome. Yep, I love it, and I love like the knives on her back.
Mm-hmm.
On the back of her shorts. Yeah, so cool. Great design. I thought that translated very well to the 99 version here.
Absolutely.
And so we have, unlike 2011, we actually have a faithful adaptation of this part of the story. So we have, the sushi cooking rather than just the pig cooking. Where, but first we'll do the pig stuff. That would just, it's pretty faithful. It's Buhara asks for a whole roast pig. That's his request. Because they each request something. In the 2011, it's combined. They just both want the pig.
Yeah, it's so weird. That never felt like a Menchi kind of like...
no, it's really weird. I don't know why they were doing it like that, but whatever. These guys did it right, at least. So they get their pigs. They find out the weak spots on the head. They all do it in their own unique way. Killua does some weird thing. He like teleports.
Yeah,
he literally does like nothing personnel, kid, and then teleports behind you.
And it's supposed to be like a tease, like, what kind of skills does he have? And it looked really funny, just the way it was framed. But we saw a little bit from everybody. Yeah, we saw like Gon kind of whack one in the head with a fishing rod. Leorio kind of outsmarted, tripping it and then bashing in the head with a briefcase. Hanzo has a invisible cloak that he used on a rock.
Yeah. Classic.
Yeah.
Maybe that's one of the Hanzo secret techniques or whatever his ability's called. Hanzo skill.
Yeah, no, in chapter 415, we'll see that be used.
Yeah.
But yeah, just fun little sequence there. Nothing crazy, but it's very faithful to the manga.
Yeah, so, yep, they do the pig thing. Buhara eats all of them. Hell yeah, brother. Kropik has this comment where he's like, but that's like way more than his body weight. And they're just like, don't worry about it.
I love how meta that was. I respect it a lot. Like, that's 70 whole pigs. That should definitely be more than he could consume.
That was awesome. I love him so much.
That's why Buhara's the GOAT.
That's right. So he passes them all because he doesn't really give a shit. He just wanted to eat.
Yeah.
But they have to get through Menchi. And
that'll
her
be
request, yes, a lot harder. So her request is for sushi, which, a normal sensible person would be like, oh, this is a Japanese show, so they probably all know what sushi is. But no, remember, guys, this is a fantasy world, and I guess wherever sushi comes from here is a very small continent.
Now, Hanzo, on the other hand, though.
Yeah, Hanzo, the GOAT, he's ready.
He's like, oh, man, my time to shine. It's funny, though, because they don't ever name, like, Japan specifically, obviously.
No.
He's like, oh, from my, like, small ethnic country, this will be a cakewalk. I just love that comment from Hanzo.
Which is probably... Asia with a Z, which we know of in the Hunter x Hunter world.
That would make sense.
I think,
surely.
at least. So yeah, they started on this sushi. Nobody knows what it is, but except Hanzo, and Kurapika has a vague idea.
Yeah.
Which will eventually get everybody to know what it is. But starting off, Hanzo, he's like the coolest guy in the world right here. He feels so awesome. He's like, all these fucking idiots, they don't know what this is. And I know exactly. And he's like looking at other people trying to do it, and he's laughing about it.
Yeah, he's like, oh, these idiots, these absolute buffoons. Not going to pass at all. I'm going to be the only one.
Yeah. He really thought he would be the only one to pass. But Kurapika is like piecing together what little he knows about sushi, and Leorio's like pestering him about it, and then eventually they get into a shouting match, and the whole crowd ends up learning here that it is a dish involving fish. So the whole crowd runs to the ocean to get a fish. But they all get their fishes in unique ways. There's a shot of Hisoka with one in his mouth. He looks like a freak.
Yeah, absolute freak. I love him though.
Yep. And so then they all come back, and they're trying to make the sushi in the different ways. Leorio just puts the fish through rice. That's kind of it.
This whole episode like reminded me like this section in general in Hunter x Hunter is like the most non-Hunter x Hunter event that could be read pretty much in the entire series. It's like the vibes is nothing like what you see later on, obviously, or even before it. It's so fun though. I love it.
It's so fun. I love it. So yeah, we get a bunch of different takes on what people could possibly think sushi is. Nobody gets it. Killua tries to be fancy, and he makes a shrimp cocktail, marinated trout with mustard. What was it? Mustard sauce and rice. Where
the hell did he learn that?
I don't know.
Think of that on the fly. I'd like to imagine that's
maybe
what actually happened.
But funnily enough, Hisoka made the same exact thing, and he sees that didn't pass, and he's like, "Well, shit, back to the drawing board."
Again, this episode's just really fun. Like it's just
I love it.
It's a vibe. Good little.
It's just great to see this animated. I never really considered the fact that 99 probably did actually adapt this part, and it's cool to see it.
Yeah, I'm kind of shocked they didn't include this in 2011. I guess just to save time, they thought maybe it was pointless to put it in.
I guess.
Like I don't know, man. Like it's just fun seeing the characters like converse and just like be funny and like unique in their own ways. You know, like that's just a cool part about Hunter x Hunter. It's just the different character dynamics. So this shows them off really well.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, from this point on, they all try different things, and then Kurapika notices, like, he tries to take note of how Menchi's like sitting at the table. Like, he sees the soy sauce, the chopsticks, so he's like, okay, it must be like about that big, yada yada. He's feeling himself. He gets like this god ray shining on him. He's like, hell yeah, man, I got it now. It's over.
It's so over.
And then he does like the same exact thing Leorio did, and does not pass. And he looks very upset about it.
Yeah, I would. Hey, Menchi's a tough crowd. I'd be pissed too.
So yeah, that's that. And then finally we get Hanzo coming through with sushi. It is sushi.
It looks like sushi. Yeah.
Yep.
As animated as sushi could be.
And then Menchi puts it in her mouth and says, "Nope, that's not tasty. Try again."
Yep.
That's that.
And Hanzo gets set off like a bomb at that point.
Yeah, he is losing his mind. I love Hanzo. He's the best.
Yeah.
And this makes me so sad that all this stuff was cut from 2011 still. Like, we don't get any of this.
Yeah, it shocks me. I didn't know about this until really like looking at the episodes I'd be watching for this episode. I was like, oh yeah, I don't remember this from 2011 at all. And this was really good.
Not there.
Yeah.
Yeah. yeah, we get the standard thing where at this point pretty much everybody does the same thing because they don't know what sushi is now, but nobody does it right according to her, and then she gets full, so she can't eat anymore.
Nobody passes.
Everybody fails. That's it.
Come back.
They all failed.
Year.
That's the end of Hunter x Hunter, I guess.
Yeah, that's the end of Hunter x Hunter 99. Thank you guys for watching all the episodes.
Us. Yeah. So yeah, that's where we end. They all fail, and who knows what'll happen next? But that's the end. There really aren't any notable differences from the manga. This was a very straightforward adaptation, but because this is actually Dylan's first time experiencing this, it might as well be new content for him at least. So that's cool. I mean, we got to talk about this little section here that was cut from 2011.
Yeah, it's a really cool experience, and I've already touched on just like how like every character kind of gets to shine in their own unique ways and just be, just a fun episode to watch. But I also really like how it like showcases off like Menchi's character a little bit more than it did in 2011, because she kind of was just Buhara's buddy is kind of how it was presented as in 2011, but she's kind of like her own character here with like a very different dynamic, and I really appreciate that.
She really shines here.
Yeah. And yeah, it's just a fun episode. I can't complain. Really, really good.
Yeah. This was a solid batch of episodes. I really enjoyed all three of them, honestly. The first one, I think, was the favorite for the most part. I do have my nitpicks about it, but just because, that was an entirely original thing, and I was so hooked on the Leorio part that, like, I got to give it props. I think that was definitely my favorite of the batch.
That would be something I would point, like, any Hunter x Hunter fan to, like, to watch. Yeah. Like, it's just very good.
So effective. I couldn't get enough of that one. So, and yeah, the other two serviceable adaptations, they're very faithful. We pretty much just had 2 1-to-1 adaptations of the manga. There really weren't any notable differences, except for the Pokel replacement thing, but that's really not even that big of a deal.
Yeah, and, shoddy animation here and there aside, especially in episode 8. Just, very faithful, like you said. And, it's Hunter x Hunter.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and see what you guys had to say, unless you have anything else to mention, Dylan.
No, I think I hit every talking point that I wanted to. So yeah, let's go ahead and read what our viewers have to say and listeners.
Let's do it.
Okay, so we don't have a ton of comments to go through, although we have the classic insert name comments, so you know how long that'll take if you're a regular listener. Not there yet though. So starting off first with Xander's comment saying, I'm up to episode 8 so far. I'd watch more, but I have to sleep. Fair. But anyway, I started watching the 99 adaptation today because I saw this post. I liked episode 7 overall. It was all filler. The way the group caught up didn't really make sense to me. Yeah, the pocket bombs. Yep. But I enjoyed how we got to see Lario's hometown and his hallucinations. It's pretty much Greece. It looks identical. Yeah. It does kind of give off a Greece vibe, doesn't it?
That's a good point. I hadn't thought about that.
And his resolve about being a doctor, I like that scene a lot. Hints of Karapika's Kurta massacre that will come into play later was nice too. Now back to what I didn't like, considering how long the group spent in the right side of the tunnel while everyone else was running ahead. I found it contrived how simply blowing up the wall allowed them to catch up. Yeah, they were just running still. Like, how does blowing up a couple walls get them to catch up?
Actually, that doesn't make any sense at all. I didn't even really think about it. Because, they'd have to run the same distance to catch up.
Yeah, like, it's not that much more out of distance to just, like, run back out the tunnel and then go back up the right part of the tunnel, right? Like, am I not crazy for thinking that?
Yeah, that makes no sense, actually. So, cool.
Yeah. Considering how not only they were the last ones in the group, they also went further back. I don't know, it didn't work for me.
Nah.
Yeah, so it doesn't make any sense. It's supposed to be one of those things where it's just like, turn off your brain and just accept it for what it is.
Yeah, it really is. Not much thought put into that.
No, but I mean, the kilo of pocket bombs are funny though, so that's something.
Yeah, at least we have that.
Episode 8 is good. Back to canon material, although I still have a feeling that there's a lot of dialogue and small extra scenes that aren't in the manga. Maybe.
A little bit.
Here and there, probably, right?
Yeah.
Satotes is a Chad, even though he runs so weird in this version. Yeah, he kind of just like power walks at like the speed of running, right?
Yeah, and a lot of the times it's also you just see like his shoulder like bouncing up and down. Like it's just very clearly a PNG being moved.
Classic. And we finally get a look at this version of Hisoka. So far, I prefer the 2011 version by far, but I'll let this one cook. Funny how
I'm kind of there too.
Yeah. Funny how he has blue hair. I wonder if his hair will be a different color each arc. That'd be really funny.
Yeah.
He didn't have the crazy expressions he had back in the manga and the 2011 anime, and his voice actor gives off a different vibe. Also, did you guys notice the frog reference? It popped up while Gon and Kurapika were catching up to the group after Hisoka beat up Leorio. That was the frog OG Volume... in OG Volume 1, and Gon jumps on top of it. I thought it was a cool detail.
I didn't notice that, but you're right. Yeah, look, here. I have it right in front of me.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that guy was definitely there. That's cool.
I didn't catch that. Yeah, that's...
Yeah.
Good shout to that. Good eye. Edit. Just watch episode 9. I found it pretty damn funny, especially Hanzo's gag of him laughing at people not knowing how to make sushi, then accidentally revealing it. I always liked Menchi a lot and found it a shame that she only appears in the first arc, and then very briefly in the election arc, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
But understandable, she's a gourmet hunter, not very in line with our protagonist's adventure, even though they showed she can handle herself in combat. I would love to see Menchi more, just like the gourmet hunters in general. That's just such like a cool like world building concept. But yeah, it's never really touched upon, is it?
Yeah, I love both of them, both her and Buhara. They're great. I would love to see more of them. And yeah, you do see them again in the election exam or election arc briefly, but it's not enough. I want more.
She's on a morals team for the Dark Continent expedition, so that they can have some food there.
Honestly, not even impossible. Like if anybody could cook the creatures of the Dark Continent, it would be them.
Yeah, dude. Oh my God, Menchi and Buhara come back in big.
Come on, now I need it.
You heard it here first, guys. Menchi and Buhara returning very soon in the manga.
Let's go.
Hell yeah. Thank you for the comment though. Very good points that you made, and very good shout out to the frog reference. I didn't even pick up on that.
Yeah, and welcome to the watch through, by the way.
Yeah,
Thanks
welcome.
for checking us out.
Hope you stick around.
Yeah. Oh, and yeah, I did want to mention the fact that Hisoka didn't have his expressions. That really threw me off.
He was just kind of straight faced, was he?
Yeah, they didn't do like the crazy demon faces here.
Yeah, that would have been nice to see, for sure.
We better get him later on the island.
Yeah, maybe this episode was just like outsourced, and they didn't have the budget to go all out for it. Copium.
I'm really thinking that was an outsourced one.
We shall see.
So, next up is from Gargoyle, who says, loved episode 7. I love that Leorio got more screen time, getting to know more about his story, loss, and motivation. The music was so beautiful and emotional. Yeah, we didn't talk about the music. It was very good, too.
Very, very good music.
Yeah. We got to remember to talk about the music more often.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, that also reminds me, I forgot to watch the ED again.
I did, too.
Okay, we're putting it in the script after we're done recording, and then we will for sure remind ourselves for next time.
I gotta put it in the script. That's the only way we're gonna remember. I'm sorry, guys. We'll talk about the ending next week. Next week, because we're doing 2 weeks in a row. Mm-hmm. I still can't get over how good that flute music is, and the background art was breathtaking in Leorio's town. Yes, the background artist did an amazing job during those scenes.
Yeah, the flute was what I was remembering specifically as well. That was a standout.
Killua kicking Kurapika was funny, lol. It was indeed funny.
Love it.
Thank you.
Thank you for the comment. Next up we have from Leo Dog, saying, Menchi losing it over the sushi everyone made, and Kurapika using every ounce of his intellect to figure out what sushi even was pretty funny. It surprised me in a meta sort of way when one of the examiners, Menchi, is too critical and fails everyone. It's cool that everyone is unique, even the examiners, and it makes me feel like anything could happen in this world since I can't even count on the examiners. And on top of that, Satote's being curious about what sushi was and staying to find out is so cute. Oh yeah, that was part of that episode.
Satote's watching from the tree. The
little monkey men behind him as well. That one actually did look like Satote, so I don't know what was up with
I know, right? So why? again, that might be another product of that episode being outsourced. They were just off model. They just drew that damn thing wrong.
Yeah, it's starting to line up that way, right? So
maybe
keep that in mind for sure. The characters looked a bit wonky at some points, but I really like the backgrounds, especially in the swamp. They look so mysterious and hazy. We love you, Kaige Heart.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, very good comment.
Yes.
I agree with pretty much all of it.
Yeah, absolutely. The background art is incredible, and I also got to talk about that more too, because the backgrounds have been pretty consistently amazing in this series. I will say they have such a cool vibe.
Very just nice art style in general. It takes you on a ride too. Like, it's not just like the same like consistent like art style or even like direction. If I can frame it as that. I don't know. There's a nice variety of like backgrounds that they use for their settings, and they all just look amazing.
Absolutely. All right, here he is, guys. Insert name, back at it again. He promised us a long comment because we took last week off, so he delivered, but he kind of cheated a little bit. But Dylan will talk about that actually.
We'll get to it.
Yeah. So from insert name, I hope everything is all right. I'm okay. Episode 7 is one great plot line and a bunch of meh for me. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. The Leorio section is simply put magnificent. It's a great expansion of his ambitions and lore. The ambiance and haunting portrayal really hammers home how the tragedy that put him on this path affected him. I was not expecting Leorio to be from a Mediterranean sea village, but I generally like the background with its pretty great art and sea noises. One notable exception being the god-awful sea effect they use. Like, is that just IRL footage of the sea being used, glare and all? I thought it was cool. It's very 90s, but I get it. It's not for everybody.
It is. You have to have like a taste for that kind of thing, I think.
Yeah. But ignoring that, this segment of the episode is just so evocative, from the amazing POV shot as he chases Pietro through the alley to the skeleton Pietro interacting with Leorio. It just makes you feel in a way the original introduction of these ideas does not. Very well put there, for sure. It makes you feel it more, because it's just kind of told to you in the manga and the 2011 anime. But here you get to see it.
That was always my gripe with the Leorio backstories. It's like, yep, this is what happened to him. It's pretty sad, but just it is what it is. Move on. And it's like, okay, well, I would have liked to see something of it to feel connected to it. And this really did that for me. And it's so shocking to me that this is the only adaptation in all of Hunter x Hunter that does something like this. Low key, Togashi kind of just fell off the track for Leorio's backstory here, unless he plans to actually go into it later on, which maybe. Yeah. This is so effective. I can't but feel like, this was. I would have loved to see this, whether in the manga or 2011 or just anything, right? So I'm really happy that this.
Yeah, absolutely. On the other hand, it does diminish a scene that I consider one of the more tender scenes from the arc. When Leorio finally breaks down and tells Kurapika his reason for desiring money as a hunter, it's an important personal moment, and one that I'd argue ties them together from that moment forward, and is hammered home by Kurapika seeing something in Leorio that he should strive to emulate. Yes, they do remove that scene, but I think it still happened. We just didn't get to see it, because we see the aftermath of it where Kurapika's like, you know what, I can get behind this guy. Mm-hmm. I think they just skipped past it because it was kind of already told to us, the audience, so we didn't need a scene of Leorio telling Kurapika about it. I think we still got the important bits from that scene, but I see where you're coming from. Mm-hmm. By having this extended flashback, we as the audience don't experience the revelation at the same time as Kurapika, ultimately making it so that scene doesn't have the same narrative impact on the audience, as we already know this info and aren't experiencing the same emotions as the character. Fair enough. It also doesn't help. I think they start the scene with his shirt off, not giving us that triumphant moment of him disrobing.
I would argue that. Yeah, I know. I'm pretty sure that's how he's describing it, at least from the 99 episode. But I don't think it was really needed in this case because like that would have only given off that triumphant effect if he was still like gasping for air from like all the running he was doing, which he obviously wasn't because of the filler stuff happening with the tunnel and him hallucinating and all that. So I don't know. That's not really that big of a deal to me, personally.
Yeah, I mean, it's really like I'm looking at like I can't really show you exactly, but like it's the same thing. Like this scene is pretty much exactly how it was in the '99 version. It's just because like we don't see the moment of Leorio taking his shirt off, which I know that's not what you're talking about. You're talking about Kurapika, but like, and then yeah, they're running, they're talking, and then Kurapika's like, you know what, hell yeah, Leorio's kind of cool, and then he takes his poncho off and runs. It's like the same thing, I think.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's
not
it's a little different for sure, but I think it still hits about the same to me. I think the 2011's version is cleaner as it doesn't need to go off on a tangent to reveal anything, but goddamn does that skeleton just hit every time it's on screen. Yeah.
Yep.
It's just such a tragedy that to get there, they have to remove the stakes from the tunnel section by creating a circumstance. They have to circle back and somehow catch up.
That I can agree with for sure. It feels
and that
very
I straight up do agree. Yeah. I think flawed execution, but a really good idea.
Yeah. It's a diamond in the rough, genuinely.
The whole Tompa plot really does diminish the difficulty of the running task. The characters are not worried with about the test at all, and overall the show really doesn't make this test feel particularly difficult in comparison to 2011. Yeah, which I feel goes out of its way to emphasize the difficulty of the task and get you immersed in the challenge.
I can agree to that as well. Yeah.
Yep. Killua has a plot device. Has plot device bombs. Fun. Also, apparently the Phantom Troop rode horses when they massacred the Kurta. Hey, I said the same thing. They play horse sound effects when Kurapika is having his visions in the sap tunnel. Please tell me the troop dressed up like cowboys. That's the kind of childish, macabre type of shit they would pull. So true. Some weird visual stuff. There's one shot where it zooms down from above the tunnel and it's rotating, eventually doing a 360. It serves no purpose other than to potentially disorient the viewer.
That.
Yeah. Also, the way they appear after the explosion looks incredibly weird and is essentially still images. Yeah, fair, but I thought that was kind of a cool moment.
Yeah, I'll let that one slide, personally.
Yeah.
I get it. All right, second half, my turn. In general, I don't have much to say about episode 8. Though seeing this version does remind me about that for some reason. In 2011, Hisoka doesn't just decide to play Examiner, and they contrive a circumstance in which he is attacked first. I'll give 2011 credit for sticking to the source here, since that is a weird choice that I can't really think of a reason to change it towards a 2011 approach. Also, that one fish that looks like grass, and then his eyes appear and swallows people, looks fucking rad in this version.
Oh yeah,
that was a good
awesome
scene. We didn't talk about that, but that was a cool looking scene.
It was very cool, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't know. Hisoka's just different in this anime so far, and it's gonna take some getting used to on like how the approach will feel in comparison to all the other adaptations. So I'm kind of like reserving my judgment on anything on Hisoka's presentation until I see more of it.
Yeah, I need to see more.
For episode 9, that sushi test is so bullshit. It makes the proctor look so irrational. See, isn't that the point though? That like Menchi is like overly judgmental and
yeah, it's funny.
Like, just a very harsh critic, as like a gourmet chef would be almost, right? I feel like this.
Yeah, exactly. She's
intention.
I don't know. She's very passionate about food, and she wants other people to be too. And you know, obviously we're gonna get into this when Netero shows up, and like talk her down and realize that that's not the way to go about things. But I don't know. I think it's a really cool thing to do here.
Yeah,
I like it.
She generally gets used more in 1999 because loud woman equals funny, I guess. But I don't think the design of the test really helps the audience learn what a hunter is and what skills they should have, even if it is in the manga. See, but isn't the point though that like hunters come in all forms, shapes, all different kinds of forms, shapes, and sizes, including gourmet hunters, as they are so clearly like distinguished here? Like, sure, these aren't the typical skills that the manga will ever explore, but like I don't know, it's important for world building and Togashi's world building especially. I personally view the version of this test in 2011 strictly superior to both the manga and 1999 version for its exclusion. Now that's a take I cannot get behind.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
Yeah, I don't know. Also, Lario served his still breathing bro. I don't care if the test is a wash. You deserve to fail. Yeah, the fish was still flopping around in his dish, wasn't it? Do you remember that?
True.
Lario, what are you doing, man?
His best.
My goat. Yeah, his best. The biggest thing, though, and perhaps one of the biggest failures of 1999 to me, though, is the way Hisoka is portrayed. Okay. In many ways, I don't think they treat him with the reverence that 2011 does, both by not depicting his aura, his bloodlust well. His expressions are less eccentric and bombastic than the other versions. Hisoka is someone who is the most exemplary of Nen users because he gives into his desire and Nen responds in kind. He exudes an intense sexual energy, bloodlust, and passion for both battle and the act of the hunt. Not reveling in these features, the things that make him unique both doesn't convey how truly odd the character is, but also how unique Nen is. He almost comes off as he comes off as almost clinically pathological. That's kind of lining up with how I'm kind of how his presentation is kind of being presented to me, like how I'm thinking of it. I don't know if I fully agree with like it being like important to kind of like connect that with like Nen and like his Nen specifically right now, since that's not even introduced at this part of the story, right? But I do agree he kind of comes off as more of like someone who just escaped a psych ward rather than like an actual like skilled like crazy, skilled but crazy, hunter or potential hunter.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I just need to see more of him in this adaptation. I don't know him well enough here to be able to comment on it. But I mean, obviously I prefer the manga and 2011 version more already. I can say that, but I'm still letting it cook. Let's see how he goes here. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm gonna let it cook some more. For me personally, but I see your point that you're making.
Yeah. I do too.
He's also comparatively hurt by the buildup of other applicants, as his instances of focus are stretched further apart or not unique compared to others. In terms of screen time and focus, Hanzo is almost comparable here. I guess he does have comparable screen time to Hisoka at this point, doesn't he?
Right now, yeah.
Hanzo's gotten a weird amount of focus in the 99 version. I think that's maybe something that we haven't touched on really, but maybe that's just me misremembering how like the manga in like 2011 is though. Like maybe Hanzo is showed just as much, but
he's definitely got focus. But yeah, like, probably a little more here.
I'm not going to get into some of the BS that happens with the order of events in later arcs, or into some of the BS that happens with the order of events in later arcs. That hurts him as well. Interesting. And then you may notice, the YouTube viewers, there's more that's being implied here with this comment, but in an attempt to make this one of his longest comments of all time, he proceeded to list out 3 paragraphs from Moby Dick in the rest of the comments. So if you're interested in a Moby Dick preview, I guess go read the
you can read a little bit of Moby Dick on our comments section, I guess. Who's that?
Yeah. We will not be reading that here. Sorry, insert name. But
no.
Thank you for the comment as always, though. Really interesting thoughts and perspectives here, and I think it's always important to kind of take in the more harsh judgments, especially.
Yes, sir. All right. Next and last, we actually have an email. How about that, guys?
Yeah,
we got
first
an
email. That is wild to think about. 30 episodes in, finally got one. We encourage it, though. We would love to hear from more people.
Yeah, absolutely. So there are a few grammatical errors here, but I'll do my best to correct them as I go. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can see that. Also, don't worry, I will censor out your email here.
Yeah, I was about to mention that.
Yeah, don't worry, I got that. So this comes out from Isaac Ditkovsky. Hopefully that's somewhat right. Hello, my name is Isaac. I've been listening to your podcast for a couple months now. My favorite arc is Greed Island. Have a really cool theory about the Succession arc. I agree that Gon and Killua aren't on the Black Whale, but I think that they will be involved in Chapter 359, Volume 34. All right.
Well, they will be involved, and then he's referencing 359 is like to his point, I think, right?
They will be.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. This helps. I didn't. Okay, I see. Okay. I think they will be involved. In Chapter 359, Volume 34, there is a Tier 2 announcement. In 3 weeks, we will exit humanity's normal navigational and fishing water. Here, we will refuel and perform a final check of our vessel. It's funny because I actually remember reading that exact line when doing our recap. Like, I have like a memory of saying that.
That's really funny.
I think that that where they will refuel is Whale Island, and that Killua and Aluka will be staying there. So right off the bat, that is an interesting idea. The Aluka and Killua part, I don't know about that, but refueling at Whale Island, maybe.
I can't say that's not impossible, right?
No, I don't know where Whale Island is, to be clear, but
yeah, maybe there's like a geographical map somewhere that would show this is absolutely not where they would stop.
Yeah,
but I don't know that off the top of my head. So like, just I mean, from just as like a blanket theory with no like additional information. I like it, not knowing where it's located at the very least.
Yeah. So he's saying that Killua and Aluka will be staying there with Gon to hide Aluka, and that they will end up boarding the Black Whale and join Leorio. I haven't been counting, but I think it's been about 3 weeks. So something like that. I don't know.
It might be a little less than that. I think we're getting close to that mark. But
time is jumping around so much, it's kind of hard to keep track. But around there sounds about right. Yeah.
Additional research required.
Yes. So maybe the next batch will cut away to Gon and the Black Whale. And then the Black Whale back to the Black Whale and meet up to wait, hold on. And then back to the Black Whale, and Kurapika will leave the ship and seek out Gon, remembering that it's his home, causing the whole gang to eventually meet up and have an adventure on the Dark Continent as a B plot to Jing and beyond. Okay. I mean, yeah, Kurapika probably wouldn't recognize it though. I don't see why he would. Well, yeah. I guess okay, they were on the boat that picked him up from Whale Island, so there's that.
Yeah, I mean, he might just recognize the name as well if the name is really, like, said out loud, right? That being said, like I feel like there's a lot of issues and obstacles to overcome for him to even like get off the ship to go search for Gon, if he even wanted to do that.
That's extremely true. Yeah, Kurapika is not in a position where he can just leave the ship. That's actually impossible.
He is kind of the most important bodyguard to a prince on that, on that ship.
He cannot afford to do that. Maybe he could send somebody to do it, like Bill, maybe.
Bill's recruitment mission.
Yeah.
But also consider, Gon doesn't have Nen as far as we know. So what the hell is he gonna do? Why would, he would need a reason to go on this, adventure in the first place, right?
Yeah.
And maybe that's where, if Killua and Aluka were somehow around, maybe that could be an avenue to convince them. But, the point that I'm trying to get across, though, is that there's a lot of stuff that needs to be answered in order to make this work.
Yeah, I'll finish this up and then I'll pick it apart. I think this will tie up the series as a last arc, even though Gyro wasn't involved. Maybe he's on the ship. Yeah, I'm still saying Gyro could just be on the ship right now.
I'm not putting that out of the question for sure.
Also, I want to see Gon's face when he finds out this is where the Chimera ants came from. Sorry this is so long, and I love the show. Thank you so much, Isaac. I love that.
Thank you, Isaac. Really appreciate that.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, there's a lot here that I like, if it does happen exactly the way you're saying, then yeah, I could see it. But I just think it's like a far-fetched idea that Killua and Aluka would be there on Whale Island to begin with.
So yeah, we have to from the get-go answer, okay, why are they there? Because as far as we are aware, Killua and Aluka are just kind of doing their own thing right now. And obviously they left it open-ended as Killua, Aluka, Gon, they'll all eventually reunite, right? That's kind of left open-ended, and their kind of departure was directed as such for a reason, right? But like, you know, what would be the goal of Killua and Alika going to visit Gon? Is it just like them just saying hey? Like, did the Killua just like, hey, I wanted to go see Gon again? Or is there like an actual reason why they're on Whale Island? Like, I feel like that would have to be addressed, right?
Right. Yeah, it's. I mean, so beyond that though, like, sure, if they stop on Whale Island, but that's another thing. Like, where is Whale Island? Would that really happen? Yada yada, a lot of logical things. But if in theory they do stop on Whale Island to refuel, then yes, I could see a path where Gon could board the ship. But again, I think Aluka and Killua would have to be there as well. Because why else would he want to get on this boat?
Yep.
Like, without any motivation. Because nobody's going to get off the boat that he knows. That's just not going to happen. Maybe... Yeah, maybe Bisky's stuck. She can't do anything right now.
There's not really a lot of people that could theoretically do. Maybe Leorio, like, actually.
Maybe that because he's not bodyguarding, but he's also very few doctors. There's a doctor shortage on the boat.
Like, who the hell is gonna go find Gon, and for like what reason? Like, who's gonna send up? Like, they're again just trying to pose the idea that, like, well, this is kind of a cool theory. If you know everything, if the stars were to align, a lot of stars have to align.
Right.
You know?
That's the thing. It's gotta break this whole thing down. Yeah. It's everything you said has to happen for this to happen. There's really no wiggle room, right? Like,
right.
It has to happen exactly as you wrote it here for this to occur. And
and the problem is little details can pick that apart very easily. So, like, if one thing goes wrong, everything blows up about this theory.
Yep.
So, it's a little unfortunate in that case. But I do like the idea overall. I think it's something that, you know, probably more likely than some people may even think, just on like just thinking about it like in the first like 5 seconds, right? Like, there is some ideas here for sure. It's just a matter of, like, again, if things line up properly.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But thank you for writing in, though. Really appreciate it. First email ever read in the show.
Yeah, thank you, Isaac, for that. I really appreciate it. All right. Is that all we got this week then, Dylan?
Yeah, that's all the community comments for this week. I will remind once again, if you want to get in on the fun for discussing any given topic week to week, be sure to keep an eye out for YouTube community posts as well as Twitter and Bluesky call-out posts. And just like Isaac here, you can always write into us via email at hunterassociationpod@gmail.com.
Yeah. And with that, guys, this has been the Hunter Association. Thank you so much for listening. We are available on all major podcasting platforms as well as YouTube for the video version. Be sure to follow, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. You can also follow us on Twitter at TXHXAPod as well as Bluesky at THAPod for updates on the show and as an alternative way to submit responses to the weekly call-out posts. As always, we'll be here the same time every week talking about Hunter x. Dylan, where can people find you online?
Yeah, you can find me online at DJ Tengen. That's DJTENGEN on Twitter and Bluesky. I've been tweeting a lot lately about the One Piece trading card game as well as WWE. So, you know, kind of the standard protocol for me. But if you're interested in that, go give me a follow or, you know, view my profiles there.
Yeah, you can find me on Bluesky at Kaige10. That's KIIGE10. Haven't been posting a whole lot lately because of things that I've been going through. But I will post, you know, again, whenever I feel like it. I'll probably post here. I got the Shanks figure just now. I'll probably post about that. Pretty sick.
It's so good. So
yeah, it's a Figure Art Zero. It's my favorite line of figures.
I absolutely love it.
So, yeah, there's that. And for the show next week, we will be doing Hunter x Hunter 99 once again, so we could stay on track. And we also had a guest lined up, so I don't want to reschedule that, which I'll mention later. But we do have a guest next week, so look forward to that. At least we should. I mean, you know, anything could fall through, but we're supposed to have a guest next week.
Yep. Episodes 10 through 12, so
yes,
be ready
10
if you're
through
watching
12.
This.
That's right. Please watch episodes 10 through 12 before next week, and I'll put the call-up post up either Monday or Tuesday. And beyond that, we're discussing what's going to happen after that. we have maybe something cooking.
Yeah, there's a March is a little bit of a weird month since there's 5 Sundays to fill in. We're thinking about maybe something fun for the last week specifically. Maybe not necessarily on Sunday, but
Yeah, it'll kind of like be. Well, you'll see.
Well, you'll see. It's in the works potentially.
Let us cook.
But then, aside from that, we should be back on schedule for a little while with our usual schedule, beginning with the character retrospective in April. So,
that's
look out for that.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and we will see you next week.
All right, take care, guys.